Welcome everybody to Circle Back to You. I'm your host, Jason Wilson, and we're back for week 4 with my man, Asif Ali. Welcome to the show, brother.
Hey, brother, Niners, baby, 3-0, 3-0.
3-0, man. I got to
Yeah.
say congrats to you. You know, my Falcons, we'll talk about that later. Hey, but we're still sitting on top of our division, so hey, it wasn't too bad.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you got to take it with you. I mean, you got to take the cookies with the straights, right? And you got to take every win and loss with a grain of salt, right? As long as it's all relative in the league, so you got to be happy as long as you stay on top of your division. That's all that matters.
Exactly. I don't know what's going to happen this weekend. We go to London to play, so you know, we'll see what happens.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So let's jump on in, man, to what happened this past weekend, brother.
Man, let's talk about it. So remember what we talked about. Let's start with college football because we talked about Colorado and Oregon, and I remember the snippet on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn was you basically questioning the 21-point underdog Colorado, and I basically says justified. And I said this game will prove if Colorado is indeed a national championship contender, and that game definitely proved whether or not Colorado was a national championship contender. And this current saying it proved why Oregon deserved that 21-point favorite betting line as a result of the outcome of the game, right? 42-6.
Yeah.
Colorado falls 3-1. Oregon improves to 4-0. Oregon has now jumped from number 10 to number 9 in the AP poll. Colorado has now fallen out of the top 25. Coach Prime was basically on record after the game to say, get at me now. Enjoy this because, you got to take it now because basically after this, and some other major news, breaking news from today. Mel Tucker stepped down as head coach of Michigan State due to a big, harassment scandal. And so essentially now a lot of players are eligible. They'll be eligible to enter the transfer portal, I believe, either end of this month or early next month. So there might be an opportunity there for Dion to obviously, because you know how aggressive he was, Coach Prime this offseason hitting the transfer portal and getting those 4 or 5-star prospects. This whole team, I want to say 70% of the roster of Colorado is transfers, through the transfer portal. So now obviously USC comes to town. They play number 8 ranked USC. So you basically went from one giant obstacle to another.
Yeah.
I'm expecting more or less of the same. I'm not expecting Colorado because without Travis Hunter, they're really not. And obviously, kudos to Coach Prime for resting Travis. Oregon and Pac-12. It's a completely different animal, right? You're talking about in this Colorado team. We gotta take it in perspective, right? Obviously, the Colorado Buffaloes were 1-11 last year. Now they're 3-1, and they beat the national championship runner-up in their first opening, in the opening week in their opening game, right, on the road. So with that said, even if, they're not a legit national title contender this year, there's a lot of promise and a lot of, good things to look to build upon. Granted, they finished with at least 7 or 8 wins, I want to say, and they're able to make a bowl game. Then, and if they somehow can find their way back in the top 25, I say all things considered, it's a very successful season. So, that's pretty much where I stand currently on Colorado.
Yeah, I agree with you on that, man. And like you said, for next season, he has a lot of promise with a lot of picks coming from other schools. And, but his job so far is a stellar performance compared to the previous years. So, hey, kudos to Coach Prime. And this weekend, man, we've got Master P coming in, LeBron James coming in,
Yes,
and,
sir.
all kinds of other celebrities. They still support him. I still support him. It's all good, man.
100%. Look at the ball behind me. Coach Prime that's the golden signature right there. There's a reason for that. That nameplate, though it's not zoomed in, it says Deion Sanders, number 21, San Francisco 49ers, 1994 Defensive Player of the Year. So obviously Coach Prime has won the hearts and minds of many, but the ratings are at an all-time high right now. It's insane, what Colorado has done for the landscape of college football. And not only that, I want to say, obviously Ohio State and Notre Dame. I feel like there's a trickle down effect, because that was one of the best games I've watched all year. Ohio State Notre Dame on Saturday night, and now Ohio State has now bested Notre Dame for the past 88 years. Every time they played, so the whole mantra of Coach Prime, the flashiness, the kind of fu kind of attitude of Colorado has definitely permeated, to basically get a lot more interest and viewership, not just for Colorado but college football as a whole, and that's something we can all be appreciative of. But I gotta say, I love Coach Dan Lanning's halftime speech. Rooted in substance, right? Rooted in substance. They're fine for wins. I don't know. I mean, I agree with that for to a degree, but I also don't agree with obviously. I mean, everyone. I mean, there's nothing to be offended about from the halftime speech, right? I support Coach Prime fully, but I also was a coach, so I personally, I mean, I understand where he's coming from. You got to find some ammunition to motivate your players, and I loved it. And I think the only way to go from here is up. After Saturday against USC, the only way to go is up for Colorado, and like you said, it's the best feel good story of the season.
And a previous player said that he deserves a 10-year contract for $166 million. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you'd give it to him. I mean, you look at, like I said, the numbers don't lie, right? I mean, what he has done for viewership in college football, what he's basically done, to Colorado, what he's done for just the game. I mean, it's remarkable. Whether you're a fan of him as a player, whether you're a fan of him as a coach, I mean, you want Deion Sanders in your organization if you first obviously want to win, most importantly, but secondly, if you want to get, publicity. And, that's why a lot of the talk of where he should end up next, obviously Dallas being a potential trading spot or destination, Coach Prime with the star. I mean I hate the Cowboys, and we know, and I know how
Yeah,
you feel about the Cowboys, but we're gonna
right.
talk about the Cowboys very soon a bit. But but yeah, I mean, I was gonna say, Coach Prime, would be perfect in Jerry World, and I think that, and I really hope that Jerry Jones and Prime do not agree upon getting Coach Prime in Jerry World, because that will be a nightmare for the NFC, namely my Niners, many other teams, because
Yeah.
Coach Prime knows how to recruit. He knows how to win, and I mean, it's the only way to go from here is up for him. So
Yeah, they had the slogan, America's team in the past. He'll probably bring that back if he goes to Dallas. I don't know.
yes, sir. And now, speaking of, let's transition to week 3. We got killed in our picks, but we did get some right. So let's go down the list. Actually, we weren't killed in all of our picks, because I mean, I do. So let me run down this real quick. Giants and Niners. Niners dominated. Niners are one of 3 teams left in the league. They're now 3-0. Brock Purdy had his first 300-yard passing game, 25-37 for 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He was blitzed on 85% of the snaps, and he was on dropbacks, and he was able to complete 200 to around I believe over 18 to 15 passes for 241 yards and a touchdown in the face of pressure. One of them was a beautiful sideline over the shoulder goal line fade or post corner to Deebo Samuel, who basically dominated the game. So not much to say here, except obviously we're going to talk about this in a bit. I want to run through these picks real quick, and I want to get into the major headlines about who's the top dog in the NFL and the NFC.
Sure.
Next up, speaking of NFC, Falcons at Lions. Obviously, the Falcons got destroyed. Any commentary for you regarding that game?
Oh man, like we were talking about before, the play calling. I mean, it was awful. Coach Arthur Smith needs to relinquish the play calling to somebody else in the organization. He's not the one to be offensive coordinator, man. He's not the one. So, apart from that, the offensive line, they need to make some changes there. I mean, they got destroyed the whole game.
Yeah, absolutely. So, that's pretty much it. I think, yeah, I mean, that's all. I mean, and Falcons are a young team. They're still leading the NFC South, so good for them. Yeah. Chargers, the Vikings. You picked the Vikings. I picked the Chargers. I wasn't confident in my pick. I also picked the Chargers to bolster my pick on my own podcast, Digital Dream of the Gridiron podcast. Not much to say here. Kirk Cousins could have won the game, and the receiver didn't make the play. So that is what it is. Next up, Saints and Packers. Great game, great comeback. However, it was due to Derek Carr's injury. Jameis Winston stepped in and did not step up, so to speak. And Jordan Love, man, you like we're talking about, you got to start drinking that Kool-Aid. 7 touchdowns, 1 pick. Keyshawn Johnson on Undisputed said he wants to see that 53% completion percentage increase a little bit, but we'll see how that goes. Hopefully it does. But kudos to the Packers. Texans and Jaguars. This was a mind-blowing upset, I want to say, in my opinion, for
you Texans. You picked the Jaguars, didn't you?
I picked the Jaguars.
So did I.
Yeah, you did too. And I mean, I was expecting this version of Texans to show up earlier. I mean, it's still very early in the season, but I was expecting them to show up in week 1 and start winning some games, but obviously that's the Ravens, so you can't really expect too much. But I mean, because of the fact that they got D'Amico Ryans, and D'Amico Ryans coming from the Niners, this past season being our defensive coordinator, a great young coach, and this just proved it. Holding the Jaguars 17 points in their home field, right? Who the Falcons play next week, we'll get to that a bit. Texans are obviously, running. Broncos at Dolphins. I mean, holy, you know what? I mean, we both picked the Dolphins, but I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think, I mean, I picked it on my podcast 35-14, 35-21, not 70-20. That's an NFL, I think, second most NFL history past 57 years. I mean, it's remarkable. I think the Dolphins are now, yes, the Dolphins are one of three teams left. They're 3-0, and they're one of the top dogs now in the NFL, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Titans at Browns. I don't know who we picked. I don't even care. Let's move on. Bills at Commanders. I think you picked the Commanders. I picked the Bills. The Bills destroyed the Commanders. So that was fun to see that. Colts at Ravens. We both picked the Ravens, but hey, man, the Colts came out. They showed up 22-19. So that is what it is. Patriots the Jets. I think we both picked the Patriots. So nothing more to say there. Panthers the Seahawks. I picked the Panthers. No, we both picked I think we picked the Seahawks.
Yeah, we picked the Seahawks.
We picked the Seahawks, so that's good. We're good there. Chiefs at Bears the Chiefs. We both picked the Chiefs for obvious reasons. All right. Steelers at Raiders. I picked the Steelers, I believe. You picked the Raiders.
I picked the Raiders. Mistaken.
Yeah. So yeah, I think the Steelers won. Obviously Jimmy Garoppolo is there for a reason. Thank you, Raiders, for taking him off our hands. And Eagles at Bucks. I picked the Bucks. I believe you also picked the Bucks. This game kind of proved to me how beatable Philly is. Philly's obviously 3-0, but I mean, they're not impressive at all. I mean, there are opportunities that, if Baker Mayfield wasn't the quarterback of the Buccaneers, I think this would have been a much closer game. And I think the Buccaneers could have probably pulled it out. So, Rams at Bengals won 19-16. I think we both picked the Rams, but I wasn't expecting Joe Burrow to play. But even then, I mean, he was struggling for most of the game. Yep. But the Bengals came out with a win. I mean, that's a great momentum booster to get their first win of the season. Lastly, Cowboys at Cardinals, my game of the week. All righty.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful, amazing, prolific, 5-time Super Bowl champion Dallas Cowboys go into Arizona with all the momentum in the world, 2-0.
Yeah, right.
With Dak
and they
Prescott,
lose.
Tony Pollard, CeeDee Lamb. I mean, Micah Parsons, Defense Player of the Year candidate. My Lord, what a talented team. To basically run up against the division last Arizona Cardinals in an NFC West and get run on 400-plus yards, 178 yards back, 222 yards rushing on the ground. And then, I mean, James Conner had 98 yards rushing a touchdown. Joshua Dobbs had 55 yards on the ground. Dwandal Moore had 54 yards and a touchdown. I mean, Lord have mercy. This was a beautiful game for anyone who's not a Cowboys fan. Right. I mean, sheesh. So,
so what does that tell you about the Cowboys?
It tells me that, they're still a team that lacks maturity. I mean, Marcus Spears said it best but you know what? That doesn't mean that they can't figure it out. That doesn't mean. The reason why I'm saying that is because, it's still early in the season. This is the time for teams to screw up and figure things out, That and also Arizona is a team that people should not be sleeping on. Not saying that Arizona is a playoff team, but, if you look at their previous games, they played the Giants down to the wire. They lost that game 28-30 on a last-second field goal. They also lost to, if I'm not mistaken, who they play? Yeah, the Commanders was a 16-20, so they lost by 3 or 4 points. The Commanders are 2-1 right now. The Cardinals are a team, and the Niners have to play the Cardinals next week, so we're going to get this very quickly. But yeah, I mean, this is a team, who's a very good team. They got or not necessarily a very good team, but I think ultimately NFL is any given Sunday. But, the Cowboys are definitely a team. They really have to refocus if they want to make a playoff run deeper than they've made in the past couple 25, 26 years and actually get out of this divisional. With that said, I think if, granted Dak Prescott, he looked a little off in that game. Jalen Hurts is actually, it's not all in Jalen Hurts. It's also on AJ Brown, but it's also a lot of it's on Jalen Hurts, so I think the NFC East will still come down to the Cowboys and Eagles. And I think, it's going to be basically 1 or 2 games, near the end of the season for the finish line. So that's pretty much my take on the Cowboys.
All right.
Week 4, Lions at Packers. Who we got? I got the Lions. Ooh, but it's at Green Bay. Oh, God, this is great. This is the matchup.
Yeah, that's a great game right there.
Oh, my God, that's tomorrow. Ooh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'm going to go Lions because my boy Jared Goff on that squad. I'm going to go 16-20. Sorry, 2016.
And like we were saying before, their defense, man, is on fire. So I'm picking the Lions too.
Yes, sir. Falcons at Jaguars. I have ESPN Plus. This will be my first London game on ESPN Plus to stream. Yay. This This is a tough one. Jaguars just got blown out, so they might have motivation. The Falcons, on the other hand, they lost a close one, and they have what we talked about, Bijan Robinson on an improved defense. I I I don't know who's gonna win this game, honestly.
Well, you know what I'm gonna say. Yeah,
I'll
I'm
just, I'll
all.
piggyback. I played for a team called Chicago Falcons my last season, and I mean, Falcons. You're my boy. We're gonna go with the Falcons. All right,
Yes,
let's
sir.
just let's keep moving. Okay,
All
yes, sir. All
right.
right, Rams at Colts. Hmm.
Hmm. I'm going Rams.
Hmm. Man, the Colts are tricky though. I did not expect the Colts to go into Baltimore and beat the Ravens. And I didn't expect that. Well, the Colts also beat the Texans. Sheesh. Yeah. No, I'm gonna go with the Colts. It's a home game. I'm gonna go with the Colts 22-19. Same scores last week.
Okay.
Ravens at Browns, AFC North matchup. Sheesh. It's another good one. These are some good games. Who you got?
Yeah, I got the Ravens.
I can't pick this one, man. I'm really just at a loss. Oh god, I'm gonna go with the Ravens too, but I'm not confident in that pick. I won't be surprised if the Browns win with that defense at home. All right,
Okay.
Vikings at Panthers. I will. God, and the Panthers almost. Yeah, they played Seattle to the wire. Um, I mean, I guess I'll go with the Vikings, but I'm not confident in any of these picks. I'm gonna go with the Vikings, by like a field goal. But if the Panthers win, I won't be surprised either.
No,
So
I want the Panthers to stay exactly where they are at the bottom of the division. So I'm going Vikings.
Vikings, yeah. Bengals at Titans. Oh man. Depends on what version of the Bengals we get. I'll go with the Bengals. They have not impressed me at all this year. I'm just gonna go with the Bengals just because I'm a fan of Burrow. So
Yeah,
um
I'm going with the
next up,
Bengals.
yeah, Bengals, yep. Bucks at Saints, your two favorite teams outside Atlanta. Who you got?
So I'm going to say the Saints because I think they're a stronger team than the Buccaneers.
These two teams are so tricky because they're both, I believe, 2-1,
Yeah,
and they both could easily be 3-0, but they also could very well be 0-3 based on how the gap they played.
exactly.
So man, it's at New Orleans though, so I'll go New Orleans. But I'm whatever. Oh my God, Dolphins at Bills. Woo, divisional rematch from last year, or wild card rematch
Well,
rather.
I mean, the Dolphins are coming off an incredible win. So I think they have momentum going into this game. I'm picking the Dolphins.
But you don't forget the Bills are also coming off a dominant blowout win against the Commanders, and it's at Buffalo. So, it's an AFC East matchup. Divisional games are very difficult. So, oh, I'll go with Dolphins. I'm not confident. I won't be surprised if Bills pull it out. Broncos
Really?
at Bears. Yeah. Broncos at Bears, the battle of the two worst teams, in my opinion, in the NFL.
I
Who you got? Because
got the
I don't care.
Bears. I got
Yeah,
the
you got the
Bears.
Bears.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got the Bears, I guess. I mean, I live in Chicago. Like I said, Chicago was the last team I played for. I went to a lot of Bears games. I went there when Tom Brady won his last Super Bowl. I saw him play. So Julian Edelman, So yeah, I'll go with the Bears, but I won't be surprised if Broncos win because both teams are very dysfunctional.
Yep.
Commanders at Eagles, a rematch of last year. Commanders were one of three teams that beat the Eagles last year, or one of three losses to hand to the Eagles on the record last year. So who you got?
This is a tricky one, but I'm going to say the Eagles.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna go Commanders, but I won't be surprised if the Eagles do it again. Because they've proven me wrong so far, and to me, I'm just biased as an Irish fan. But anyways,
Okay.
yeah. Steelers at Texans.
Definitely the Steelers. And they should have won the other night, too, man.
Yeah. Well, no, they won on Sunday night against
Well,
the
they
against
should
the
they should have.
exactly. They won against the Raiders. But man, the Texans just blew out Jacksonville. So
True.
I don't know what team we're getting. I guess I'm leaning towards the Steelers defense, but I guess I'll go the Steelers in a close one, but I won't be surprised if Texas take it. Okay, Raiders at Chargers. I'm not too invested. Do you have a pick for that game?
Man, that's hard to say, but I'm gonna say the Raiders.
No, I'm gonna say Chargers. Jimmy
Yeah.
G proved to me why. I mean, because he's still Jimmy G. I mean, he's gonna find a way
Okay.
to lose the game. So, and it's at LA. I think the Chargers are paying. Chargers are gonna build off the momentum of last week's win. I think they're gonna use that to start building towards more wins. Patriots at Cowboys. Yeah, it depends on what version of the Cowboys. But also depends on the Patriots have also won lots of games. They won very close games this year, not lots of games. Um, so I mean, I guess I'll go with the Cowboys to bounce back. I obviously would love the Patriots to win, but I mean, I'm
Yeah.
just going with based on talent. But I could be wrong. Again, we saw what happened when Arizona played Dallas last week, focused. So
My team that I love to hate, so I'm gonna say the Patriots on this one.
yeah, I mean, okay, perfect. Chiefs at Jets, Chiefs by 1,000.
Yeah.
Seahawks, Giants. See, ooh. Well, I mean, I want the Giants to win. I'm probably going to go with the Seahawks just based on how they played last couple games. But I mean, if Danny Dimes can do it, that'd be great. And last but not least, Cardinals at 49ers. Again, I'm not looking past Cardinals, but I do think the Niners are going to play a lot more focused than Dallas is. I think the Niners have a lot more discipline than Dallas does. And I think we're just a more talented team in Dallas. This is my personal opinion as it currently
Yeah,
stands.
man.
Without
49,
Trayvon,
49ers
yep.
have an awesome team, man. Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, I'm gonna go with the 49ers, but it's gonna be a close game. Because the divisional games are always tough, just like the Rams game. It'll be decided by a touchdown or one score. Okay, so that wraps up week 4 picks. Now let's talk about like a hot topic regarding the best team in the NFC and the NFL and the NFC. Right now, the only 3 teams left undefeated are the Philadelphia Eagles, San Francisco 49ers, and the Miami Dolphins. Miami came off a historic win over Denver. The 49ers have been averaging 30 points per game in each one of their games that they've won this year. The Eagles have just been eking out wins and they've been looking really ugly at times, but they're still the NFC champions, defending NFC champions. So you can't look past them. So out of those 3 teams, who do you think is the best? Who do you think is the worst? That's I want to know from you.
Well, San Fran is obviously the best. I
All
would
right.
say, I would say the Dolphins is second, and the Eagles are third.
Yeah, and I'm with you. I think the issue that in this homerism, whatever, but like I was listening to Marcus Spears talk about quarterback play and talk about like Brock Purdy hasn't been tested. But if you watch that game against the Giants, like I said, he was blitzed on like 85% of the snaps. So in the face of a pass rush, in kind of like a patchwork offensive line without Daniel Brunskill and a lot of like the stars we had last year, Brock Purdy played surprisingly well, all things considered. And he had his first ever 300-yard game and 2 touchdowns. And it wasn't like Jimmy G was just dink and dunk as you saw Sunday night against Pittsburgh, which doesn't get the job done. But you saw some really nice lasers. I saw some really nice dimes from Brock to
Yeah.
Debo, from Brock to to Kittle, from just see obviously Chris CMC, Christian McCaffrey in the backfield, obviously, and in the passing game, he opens up another dimension for that offense. So I think Brock and you saw how Brock, he's coming off an injury from the Eagles and NFC Championship game. I obviously wasn't able to finish that game. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I do think maybe Marcus Spears is more talking about in deficits and obviously in crucial moments. Um, but I believe in Brock. I think that he has it. It's not like Jimmy Garoppolo where you didn't know what he had. And just blind faith. You just kind of I think Brock Purdy really has an it factor, being the last pick in the draft, having that chip on his shoulder, and proving that further again. This past week, 67% completion, 300 yards, and 2 touchdowns and no picks against again a blitzing front. I think the Eagles are the worst team. They've looked very susceptible at times. I don't see the same weaknesses on the 49ers. I think also, for the Dolphins, though, that's a team you can definitely not sleep on. Mike McDaniel was an offensive assistant on the Niners before he joined the Dolphins last year. The Niners beat them handily. However, I think that the Dolphins team with a healthy Tua is very dangerous. Now, obviously, Tua's health is a concern, but granted, he can stay healthy. I think Dolphins are probably outside of the Chiefs are right there in the cream of the crop, the AFC, with probably the Bills and the Bengals. So, but not maybe not the Bengals right now, but definitely the Bills. All right, that wraps it up. I'm looking forward to week 5 after this weekend because that's when the Cowboys come to town, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that shapes out. So,
To be honest with you, I don't think you have anything to worry about with the Cowboys.
oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
mean,
No, I'm not worried. I'm looking forward to the game for a reason.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be victorious, man. No problem with that one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this week. We will be back next week for week 5.
Sir.
Yes, sir. Take care.
Take care.